there's a lot of people that don't got mentors. And one of the questions was you asked me that as far as like to understand my path and where I ended up at and why I didn't achieve my goals. Outside of that, why would you stress that one has a mentor?
Because you don't know it all. And you're going, like, I said this last night too, man, success leaves clues. But I would rather learn the clues from the successful people instead of learning the clues from people that are trying to be successful. You know what I'm saying?
That was a good. Yeah, I like that.
That's it.
All right.
I think so. And just a little bit about my background. I guess where my exposure growing up was on a different level. So I was fortunate enough. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a 2-parent household. Little bit of background. My father, his mom died when he was 7. Never had a father. He grew up in a house of one of 13 kids. And he didn't have the structure that he needed, but then he was able to build a career, be an amazing father, amazing husband, and build communities, right? My mother, she was pregnant with my sister at 13 years old, never had a father, had a mother, was kind of in and out, but now she's running Volvo Cars of North America, their whole customer experience department.
Nice.
So I say that to say this, resiliency is in my blood, and operating from a sense of excellence is in my blood. I had parents that I didn't grow up in wealth. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I grew up with parents that struggled, but they then still created an outcome that I embodied as a kid, that I was empowered by.
No doubt.
So as I was growing up, my mom would always bring me to Volvo meetings or to the dealerships with her or to these galas where I had to dress up as a family. So as I was younger, it was putting on because we didn't really have money, but we looked like money because my mom drove nice cars because she worked for the company. But what I realized is like, yo, the conversations are different. It's all about relationships. Like you can move in a room, not really like a person, but you could leverage that person. You can move in a room and this is how my mom moves. This is how she introduces herself to people. But then after the fact, she doesn't let it bother her. So it was like, wow. So then my father would always talk about like, look, I'm not going to be able to give you everything as a father, but I'm going to put you in the room with people that can give you everything. So I was like, oh, that's different. So he put me in the room with tutors. He put me in the room with college coaches. He put me in the room with millionaires. He put me in the room with entrepreneurs. He put me in the room with doctors.
Hey, that makes me feel like I'm doing something all right. I've done that for my children.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's like, I may not know everything, but this is what I do know. I can know everybody that I can put you in the room with. That's fatherhood. So now as a father to a 5-year-old, look, I may not know everything, but tonight when I get home, he's going to be able to see me in my house that he built with me with people that have much more than me, right? So that he can have more.
No doubt.
So I think mentorship is critical.
Nah, I believe it. I got a mentor for everything I do.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts. A book is the biggest investment in yourself that you could write, right? So a question that I always ask people, if you were to lose your voice today, what have you built that can speak for you? Like if you were to lose your voice today, the thing that you probably take for granted, that you don't pray about every day, what have you built that can speak for you? Because a lot of people talk a lot about plans, about ideas, about all these experiences, or they even talk to their kids about advice. But if you lost that today and you weren't able to give advice, you weren't able to shoot these podcasts, you weren't able to create content on social media, you weren't able to speak in front of a crowd, what have you built?
That's heavy, bro.
Right?
That's heavy. It makes me think about myself, Mike. Like, what have I built? I mean, don't get me wrong, I have businesses and I have a lot. I've done a lot, but I don't think I've ever narrated my story completely. It's in pieces here and there, depending on the conversation. And, but no, I don't think I've been completely 100% vulnerable for somebody to see how I manifested through the work and everything I've done, whether as a father, as a son, as a brother and friend, all the above.
That's the roadmap, bro. Books are the roadmap for the next generation to not make the mistakes that you made as a child. Period. So if you really want to be successful, if you really want to be impactful, leave the roadmap, leave the keys. Success leaves keys. That's it, right? So I think a lot of people are operating from a place of selfishness. They're only thinking about their success. They're thinking about, I want to leave this legacy, buy this real estate, buy all these different things, but that's not really helping the next generation. You can leave I think it's a statistic that people that grew up in the suburbs, I don't know the exact statistics, so don't quote me. If you grew up essentially with money, by the 3rd generation, they're not going to have anything. I think it's something I've read it somewhere, right? So you think about it. I've built this $1 billion business. I have $1 billion in assets. My kids, they good. My kids' kids, they good. My kids' kids' kids, they broke. You know why? Because you didn't have a book, but you had a building. There's a time in your life where you had a fear and a self-limiting belief, and you didn't do something. You didn't do something, and then you end up looking back at it like, damn, that was fear.
Wanted to be a sports agent. I thought it was too challenging. Like most sports agents were lawyers, and I didn't feel like I read fast enough to be.
And then so connect it with this. So most sports agents are lawyers, and you didn't think that you read fast enough, right? Mm-hmm. Most investors are finance guys in white and old men. That's one story. That's one connection. It's about finding the connections with the reader. It's not about looking in your story. It's not about you. Bill Clinton, everybody knows Bill Clinton. He was working on his audiobook with an audio engineer, and they were going through and figuring out what was going to stay in the book and what was going to leave the book because it was going to be long. Mm-hmm. And they got to the part of the scandal. Bill Clinton looked at the audio engineer and was like, is this significant? And the audio engineer came back at him and he was like, yes, of course, Mr. President, this is significant. What you're doing is what majority of my authors do at the beginning. There's stories that you've overlooked. There's stories that you don't talk about that are hella significant that you don't think are significant.
Agreed.
That sports agent story is much more significant than you give it credit to because investors are going through that same thing right now. There's a lot of stories that you've either hid. There's a lot of stories, and anybody listening, the things that you try to hide, the things that you've buried, the things that you haven't dealt with are the very stories that are going to unlock somebody else's revelation in their life. Somebody listening right now, what is the actionable steps, Kyle, on how do I operate in my gift, right?
Yes.
So number one is I want you to identify the things that you do naturally that you don't really have to work at, whether that's speaking, whether that's problem solving, whether that's reciting information, whether it's memorizing, whatever it is, what comes naturally to you that you really don't have to do. The next thing is passions. What do you really love to do? Like, what do you really love to do? You love to talk about. It lights you up. And also, what are the problems that you get excited about talking about or researching? That could be LGBTQ community. That could be politics. That could be sports. That could be parenting strategies. That could be economics, whatever it is. The last thing is experience, right? What have you gained experience in, and what have you also been educated on? And this doesn't have to be experience like you worked at this job, this internship. What is somebody taught you? What did you learn in church? What were you mentored on? When did you serve in the community? When you operate in this GPE, the gifts, the passions, and the experiences, when you connect the dots of those different things that you've identified on that list, that's the thing that you should be doing. A lot of times, bro, we live as nouns when our reality should be verbs. What I mean by that, if you can sing, what should you do? You should be a singer. If you could dance, what should you do? You should be a dancer. If you can sell, you should be a salesman. No, it's okay to do multiple things. It's okay to be all of those different things and operate from a place of a verb. I can dance, I can sing, I can sell, I can build a business. So what I did is my GPE exercise. I speak, I write, I create, I innovate. I do it all. And I'm still a dope-ass father. When I was 14, I was definitely not always this person that I am today, right? Had an opportunity to really learn a lesson. My parents were going to this concert. I wanted to drive their car. I had a learner's permit at the time. They said no. I knew they was going to be gone for a long time, so I took the keys anyway. Ended up picking up my boy. We went to this party, dropped him off after the party, came home. I thought there was a malfunction in the car because I thought I hit the brake. I hit the gas and ran straight through the closed garage door. And the whole front end of the car was like on the ground.
Oh my God.
So serious. But this is the crazy part. So I ran into the house. I grabbed a towel. I came back out, wiped down the steering wheel, called the cops, and told them that somebody stole the car, ran it back into the house.
Hold on, man. Hold on. I don't think I heard you right. I gotta repeat that. You ran the car through the garage.
Yes.
Attempted to remove your fingerprints.
Yes.
Called the cops and told them the car was stolen. So the cops come and
So the cops came, bro. Seriously, the cops came and called my parents. Called my parents. My mom wasn't hearing it. Like, she was not believing it. Like, why was somebody? Because they from the hood. I forgot they was from the hood. So they was like, yo, why was so you mean to tell me somebody stole the car, brought it back, and ran it into the house and left?
You was nervous though.
I couldn't think quick enough. Now, like, we good. Like, I'll get it. I get through it.
Now you can pull it off.
Yo, nah. Let me recite that. So the cops ended up coming. The woman cop was not hearing it. Ended up telling the truth. But what I tell people is that, my parents didn't give me, they didn't say no because they were trying to be mean. They didn't say no because they were just trying to be hard on me, right? They said no because I lacked the necessary preparation to drive the car without assistance. And there's a lot of people that are crashing into businesses. There's a lot of people that are disappointed in relationships. There's a lot of people that are jumping in spaces that they don't deserve to be in because they're trying to hop in lanes that they don't need to be in. The biggest thing is you have to listen. I think a lot of people try to create, but they don't listen. And what we have to listen to first is God, right? I think God continues to talk to us, but we continue to take things led by flesh, and we're never really taking time to be present in the presence of God. So now so we're not really listening. Because for years, I thought I wanted to do all these different things, but I was distracted by women. I was distracted by the cars that I saw on social media, and I was distracted by lifestyle. I was distracted by the want of money. But what I realized is when I started to operate in the purpose, in the plan that God had set out for me, then everything started to come. I started to now buy the car that I wanted to drive. I'm now with the woman that I want to be with. I am now living in the house that I want to live in. My son has everything that he needs. I'm now able to pay for my parents to do the things that they need. Things started to work out when I started to follow his plan. See, the problem is that we think that we're the Picasso painting, but we're just a piece of the Picasso. This for anybody that's a perfectionist. Stop trying to shoot all the content first. Stop trying to get all the perfect landing pages. Stop trying to figure out all the emails. Just do it, bro. Just do it. Like the first like 2 months of sessions, I was doing them on Zoom live. And then what did I do? I recorded the sessions and then I sold them for $5,000.
Spicy.
Stop trying to and then when I had the money, now I can hire a real videographer to do it in the right way, and then I can reshoot everything. And then what do? I'm gonna relaunch it, and now it's $10,000. We live in an age now where you could literally market something and sell it and not even have it done yet, like at all. They're taking orders on the new Volvo Polestar car, and it's not even done. They don't even have the chips for the cars yet.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Right? It's crazy. So we live in a world where you can sell it and market it. The problem with most people is that they want it perfect before they start marketing it.
I'm guilty of that.
But get money so that it pays for the marketing. Get money so it pays for a right editor. Get money so that it pays for the right graphic designer. Because you're going to exhaust yourself at the front end, and then you're going to be coming from a place of like, oh, I have to make this money back. Then you should have started selling earlier. There's somebody right now that is depressed. And I want you to remember that time that you were depressed. There's somebody right now that is getting ready to commit suicide. And I want you to think about that time that you thought about that. There's somebody right now that is getting ready to think about leaving their marriage. There's somebody right now that is really struggling. And I feel it. And I feel them. And I want you to have the same empathy as you're listening to this, because there's somebody out here really struggling, whether it be financially or emotionally or spiritually. But you were also there at one point. How many lives are waiting on your story to be told? How many suicides are occurring right now because you haven't told your story on how you overcame it? How many marriages are ending right now because you haven't given your formula about how you saved your marriage? How many people are going in debt right now because you haven't shared your formula on how you paid off your student loans and stopped your eviction, and now you're living debt-free? Your story is waiting for you, and the world is waiting for your story.